Right now at 6, the eddy goes off.
Some pretty good waves there. Like it's perfect eddy action.
Oh, it's radical. It's the biggest I ever surfed one now.
An epic showdown between old school legends and the new guard, with a North Shore phenom taking the crown.
And what a show for the thousands of people surrounding the bay.
When I grow up, I want to surf big waves like them.
Live team coverage tonight on the drama, the crowds, and now the long trek home.
Plus the power of the ocean. As coastlines are getting slammed, yet another giant swell is on the way.
And an apparent tragedy on Kauai. We're tracking the search for a visitor swept away.
In high definition, from KGMB, this is your source for breaking news. Hawaii News Now at 6.
Your champion in 2016, John Florence.
Just 23 years old, John Florence is the youngest surfer ever to win the Eddy, and he made it look easy, making critical drops on some of the biggest sets of the day.
This is the best contest I've ever won in my life. This is my biggest accomplishment for sure, and probably will be for a long time. And I'm so stoked. Like I said, it's still I can't even believe it.
Big congrats to John winning in his backyard, and now the exodus is underway. Thousands of spectators heading out of the North Shore right in the middle of rush hour. As the sun goes down on the North Shore, the world's most prestigious surf contest is in the books as a huge success.
No major injuries or public safety issues, just high surf and high drama. We have live team coverage on this big day, from the water action to the circus on the sand. We'll start with Guy Hagi. Guy, let's first of all give it up for 66-year-old Clyde Aikau, huh?
Man, Clyde was amazing today, poignant especially because he said this is his last Eddie Aikau contest. He had a great day. The other guys had great days as well. Everybody was raving about how the bay could not be any better for this contest. It definitely couldn't get any bigger. Some big closeout sets just shut down the bay and washed the entire lineup in. And that happened a number of times, but still, the cream rose to the top today. JJ, of course, won. Ross Clark-Jones, the 2001 champ from Australia, he came in second. From Kona, really dueling, he was at the top for a while, Shane Dorian. And coming in fourth from Australia, big wave charger and paddleboard champ, Jamie Mitchell. But of course, like I said, it was especially poignant for Clyde Aikau. It was a very, very special day for him, and it turned out to be all that he had expected.
This day was going to be the most epic day ever in the history of the Eddie Aikau Quicksilver Big Wave event for 31 years, and it surely panned out that way.
Now, is it going to be hard to not come back and surf it?
No. I mean, I'm not going to surf in the Eddie, but I'm still going to keep surfing big waves. I plan to go to Maui and ride some Jaws next year with my son Ha'a. You know, I still have the passion to ride big waves, but I just think it's time as an athlete to pass the torch on, especially to my son Ha'a Aikau, and pass the torch on, and I just wanted to go on a high note.
And what was really cool was seeing Clyde come in from his last heat and get a rousing ovation from the beach. And it really choked him to tears. And still, it's something that he's going to remember forever. And thousands on the beach, they'll remember this day as well. Because for everybody, it was a treat with some of the most dramatic surfing ever experienced in contest history. That's it from here. I'm Guy Hagi. Back to you.
Good stuff, Guy. Thanks a lot. Hats off to Clyde and all the Aikaus. One of the most talked about moments today, this ugly wipeout on a macking set wave. That's Kala Alexander in the red board getting crossed up with Makua Rothman. They both tumbled down in the pit of that 40-foot wave. No hard feelings. They're good friends, and thankfully no one was seriously hurt. Oh, wow. Now let's go to Mileka Lincoln live on the beach. Mileka, I watched you on Sunrise this morning announcing that the Eddie was a go. What a day. What's the vibe out there right now?
Well, as you can imagine, it is starting to just die down a bit. You can see behind me, they're already starting to pack up. This is a massive production. The logistics of pulling this off with just 48 hours from when the potential for an eddy to when it actually happens is just incredible. And to watch them do this is just so really, truly amazing. You can also see behind me here at the lifeguard tower, they're still fully staffed, and that's because one of the concerns for ocean safety officials is that now that the eddy has wrapped, but the swell is still here at the bay, they're thinking that there's going to be a lot more folks, not necessarily the experts or the professionals, who will be heading out there. And we can already see surfers out in the water in the lineup. There have been some closeout sets, though, that nobody's getting on. You can see someone right there just dropping in, catching what looks like a beautiful wave. Now, all of this crowd that is still sort of lingering here, hanging out, possibly just trying to wait out the traffic back to wherever it is that they need to go, they weren't even allowed on the other side of this caution tape earlier today, and that's because that's how massive the waves are. There was very little beach, but there was quite a lot of crowd, and boy, did they get an incredible show. Event organizers tell me that they believe some of the waves today hit 80-foot faces. They say this is absolutely the biggest contestable wave contest they've ever had here at the Bay, and they're just so happy that it happened without any problems. Back to you, Keahi.
Thanks, Mileka.
On foot, bikes, even skateboards, the road was packed today. Our Allison Blair was there as a large crowd made their way to the Bay.
With so many people crowded here on the beach standing behind one another, it was really difficult to actually see what was happening in the water. I can tell you a lot of folks quickly realized the higher you are, the better the view. A sea of thousands gathered around Waimea Bay Thursday. Even before organizers announced the eddy was a go, spectators were lucky if they could find a seat on the sand.
We have so many people in front of us, it's hard to see.
You can't get a seat, you have to stand to even see the view.
That's why Mike Hedge didn't bother with the beach. Instead, he was perched on the Mauka side of Kamehameha Highway.
The last eddy that happened, Seth and I were just a couple bushes down. This is perfect, I mean, nothing in front of us.
They're not the only ones. Hundreds peeked through pukas that lined the road. Some even claimed spots high in the trees. One of the best views was atop this bluff, claimed 24 hours in advance.
We learned from our last go-around that this is the prime spot.
We thought so too, until we found this guy lounging on the roof of his house. Inside, it got even better, watching from the window while live streaming the action.
There's a little bit of lag in the feed, and so when I do see a massive wipeout or an epic ride, then I get to see it in replay on the webcast here.
Traffic is a slow go in both directions along Kamehameha Highway. HPD officers are trying to keep pedestrians on the shoulder of the road, but tell me they anticipate backups in this area several hours after the contest is over. At Waimea Bay, Allison Blair, Hawaii News Now.
Well, just a couple hours before the start of the Eddy Surf Contest, the surf put on a show just feet from a house near Sharks Cove.
Oh, oh, here we go, over the wall. Here we go, run, run. Epa. Whoa. Look at all this foam. So cool.
Cool and dangerous. Thankfully, everybody was okay. The woman who lives in that house says she invited friends to stay over with her last night because she was too scared to stay in the house by herself.
I've been here for about almost 2 years now, and I never, ever seen the water get so close to the house. You know, like usually it's about... I don't know, I think maybe 2,000 feet away from the house, you know, like because we have all the rocks in front, and it used to be very nice and calm. I mean, never like this.
That's a photo from 2014 showing how far the water usually stays from the house. Ribeiro rents that home and says this experience will make her think twice about buying a beachfront property.
On Kauai, the Coast Guard is helping to search for a Chicago visitor who got swept away at Queen's Bath in Princeville. These are file photos showing how large waves crash on those rocks. 28-year-old Mikola Grebenuik was taking pictures at the tide pool about 10 o'clock this morning when he was hit by a large wave. This is the site of several deaths over the years. Signs warn people to stay off the rocks.
And coming up next, the Swell Energy still energized. In fact, high surf warning has been extended. I'll have more on that coming up in a little bit.
There's all sorts of stuff going on. There's drug dealing, there's theft going on.
A push for new trespassing laws targeting homeless people. Which properties could be put off limits? Plus this.
Why one expert says the governor is wrong in an energy policy that could save ratepayers millions of dollars.
You're watching Hawaii News Now, your source for breaking news.
Hawaii's ambitious renewable energy goals may be costing consumers and businesses a lot of money. That's according to an independent energy expert who says the governor and environmentalists are wrong to reject liquefied natural gas while pursuing things such as solar and wind power. Keoki Kerr reports.
Both Hawaiian Electric and Hawaii Gas companies are proposing to bring in liquefied natural gas to Hawaii, claiming that would decrease electricity bills anywhere from 14 to 30%. The governor and environmentalists say that's a bad idea because it's still a fossil fuel subject to price fluctuations on world markets.
I think you need to put all the tools on the table, try to pick the most cost-effective way to get towards your goals as you can.
Former state consumer advocate John Cole says LNG should not be ruled out. He says the fuel would be cheaper for consumers and emit 30% less pollution than current power generation plants, so it's a good interim measure on the way to the state's goal of meeting all its energy needs with solar, wind, and other renewables by 2045.
That if it can save some money along the way, in total, including paying back for any necessary infrastructure, can reduce emissions and help comply with regulations at a lower cost.
But State House Energy Chair Chris Lee says Florida's NextEra Energy, which is trying to buy Hawaiian Electric, already overpromised on LNG.
And in places like Florida, where you had utilities make big bets on cheaper LNG that turned out to be more expensive, costing ratepayers there billions of dollars extra that they otherwise wouldn't have had to pay.
Lee worries that as renewable energy costs drop, Hawaii consumers might still be stuck with the cost of installing and using liquefied natural gas. Keoki Kerr, Hawaii News Now.
The head of the state's boating division wants more enforcement power at some state harbors. Users of Ke'ehi Small Boat Harbor complain of break-ins, drug dealing, and a growing homeless camp nearby. Ed Underwood wants to lock some Ke'ehi facilities overnight, making part of the harbor off-limits after hours. A bill calls for creating a new criminal trespass offense for state land that's closed or restricted.
That's another tool for the enforcement officer, and they can now, if the person doesn't comply, they can be arrested and removed from the facility.
The ACLU argues that a new trespass law would unfairly target homeless people and their families because it would affect anyone who trespasses on state land under highways.
Live look outside at Waimea Bay, still pumping as the sun goes down. A lot of regular surfers are wanting to get out there now that the pros are all done. That shore break is gnarly. Stick around. Jennifer Robbins has her weekend forecast coming up.